We're gonna talk
What are you
snow.
guys talking about?
Don't know.
Snow
No,
days.
Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden. Nice.
You guys are talking about Edward Snowden?
I wonder if they're going to pardon him.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah.
That's the new deal. You just do your pardon me.
That's right.
Pardon me.
Yes,
Excuse me.
pardon me. Pardon
Pardon
me.
me.
Well, we've had plenty of snow in the down by the Gulf of America.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. We have it's different here.
Season 6, episode 1. Welcome to the show, companions below the sun. Yeah.
Party Central here. Party Central and
Just remember, everything's metaphorical. The wealth transfer is taking place, by the way. So get on the train. If you're not in it, get on this wealth train. The wealth transfer is happening in here. Here's what's going on. Stop thinking left and right, blue and red, up and down, inside out. Ooh, that'll preach. I was thinking about open borders. All right, so if that's metaphorical, well, I got borders. So, Big Love, are you telling me that I've had open borders and I've been letting illegal aliens in my own borders in here?
There you are.
Wow, what are you doing? What do I do with that?
That's a big topic.
You take any topic
you
and metaphorically apply it to what's going on inside of you.
Yeah.
How's your National Guard? How's your Army? What are you doing? How's your open borders? What have you been tolerating that, you shouldn't tolerate anymore? Pick a subject, any subject.
Right.
I'm like, wow, this is good.
Yeah. Yep.
Otherwise, happy Thursday. It's the 23rd.
Yep.
Happy Thursday.
The Dalet and the Gimel. The door's open. There's plenty of supply.
That's right. By the way, I'm just putting this out here for all of you that have been on our adventure. Our house has entered the property and it's on blocks now.
Nice.
Right on.
So we are very thankful that
Cool.
my wife and I inherited, my uncle passed away a year ago, Thanksgiving time. And in the meantime, so we live in Sandpoint, Idaho. He lives in the Bay Area, Novato, Marin County area, and lives in this little retirement community. Just a little sweet little place right before you get into the Bay Area, and it's it's been Newsom proofed. Just put it that way. It's beautiful, protected, and yeah, just wonderful. And so we inherited his. It's in a mobile home park, so the mobile home old thing. Well, it ended up having to get insurance wouldn't cover it, so we got a brand spanking new home, and it arrived over the weekend, this past weekend. It's been a 3-month process, and it's been really cool because my wife has been able to pick out. I mean, it's just like my wife's, like dream home, as far as, what she can pick and choose for the most part. And so we've been able to do that. And so it arrived over the weekend. Now they prepped the ground and everything. So now they're going to be putting it on I think yesterday they were doing the blocks, or however they do it, the cinder blocks or whatever, however they, make a sure foundation, baby. So we are excited. We're going down. My daughter is due in a week, my grandbaby. So actually the 2nd is the official due date. We're flying in to Cali on the 1st and going to be there for almost 20 days. And we're hoping in the first few days she's gonna have the baby. Come on, come on, little girl, you can do it. But it's amazing the process. So when we were there during Christmas time, she was high and going the wrong way. And so they've had to, they did all, manipulated her to, and so now, man, my daughter, she just took a picture yesterday. She's hanging low. The baby is in the perfect position. It's just so
Wonderful.
cool. And so we're gonna go down there and become official grandparents.
That's
Man, this is
right.
the coolest thing ever. And then our house on there, we're gonna, my wife is, wanting to get in there and I mean, all this weekend she's measuring, she's going through our furniture and measuring the furniture and all. Is this gonna fit? This gonna, so my wife's got to see, she's very visual, and so she's got to be able to see things. And so talk about new things happening and Gimel and provision and all this stuff. Man, we are really feeling it in a lot of ways, and it's really exciting. There's so much new. It's just like
Look,
unknowns. It's like, oh my gosh,
hey,
we're coming
bro,
into some really cool
I
time.
heard I got to chime in.
Go for it,
And
brother.
just real quick to add on, this just really good jumped in my head. If you haven't watched Mr. Beast, if you can watch Mr. Beast and the show that he's putting on, it's really entertaining. But anyhow, I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it just
Anyhow, there's a lady. She's a believer. She's in the woo woo. You could just tell. And dude, this lady has been believing for stuff, and she's progressing along. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but she crushed it on the last episode. And Mr. B kind of like is like he's like shaking his head like how is like and she did not hesitate. And I'm like, I'm taking that. She says, she goes, and you could tell she didn't think about it. This came out of her DNA. And we all need to grab onto this. She said, favor isn't fear, but it's fabulous.
that's awesome.
And I was like, that's freaking good because that's the way I'm feeling. If you're not feeling that, listen, you don't have to apologize to anybody. If you're walking in favor, it ain't fair. But I'll tell you what, it's freaking fabulous. And I'm like, that's exactly what's unfolding. Hey, favor ain't fair, but it's fabulous.
Yeah, I like that.
That's cool.
That's
awesome.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you gotta if you can, you gotta go watch it. I think you'll enjoy it.
That's cool.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Favor isn't fair, but so, bro. Favor on, bro. Favor on. It ain't fair, but it's fabulous.
Yeah.
And that's Mr. B, you said?
I'm Mr.
Mr.
Beast.
Beast.
He's a
Beast.
Beast.
YouTuber.
Young kid. He's a billionaire.
He's the number one. He's a billionaire. He is,
Yeah.
And he uses his money
Yeah.
to do all these fun things. And,
Yeah, and he does that by getting sponsors that pay for all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a business, but it's
He
it
rented out
was
the
just
pyramids in Egypt. I don't know if he's
Say
done that yet. He rented out the pyramids in Egypt.
okay.
His crew is going to have unfettered access to the pyramids.
Wow.
What I understand, I need to look this up again, but he's going to have unfettered access to the pyramids for like 48 hours.
Wow. Yeah, you should ask your
Interesting.
grandkids about him, Tina, because this generation, the younger ones, they are all into Mr. Beast. And he's really cool. I mean, he's just a pretty down to earth kind of dude that's just, yeah. I mean, has had some smarts. Given it shall be given. This is the key. Given it shall be given, pressed down, shaken over, and running over. Freely receive, freely give. And that's his kind of his go-to. I mean, it's all about giving giving his money away. But I mean, he just you can't outgive God, basically. You can't outgive. And so it's really cool. It's kind of a cool, I mean, he's worked for it, but it's really,
And in all honesty, I'm not writing off the possibility that he's a very well-off, successful sociopath either.
well, I mean,
Right? He ain't your preacher. He ain't your
no,
counselor. He might
no.
not even be your friend, but the dude's got something on him, and that's
Yeah.
undeniable.
He got the favor.
Here,
He's
check
got the
this out.
favor.
Check this out.
It ain't fair, but it's fabulous.
It's here it
He's
is.
he's kind of fun. The kids love him.
Yeah, I'll have to ask my kids.
Scares me a little bit.
He has all these celebrities in his pocket. Like, everyone wants to be him, be on his channel.
Did you see? I don't know by the time this comes out, but he apparently rented out the pyramids of Egypt
What are you talking about?
for 100 hours.
I
So-
thought that wasn't legal.
I didn't know either. Apparently, he'll have full access to the pyramids for 100 hours, just him and his crew. And so they can explore any part of the pyramid they want.
What are you talking about?
That's scary.
Could you imagine?
How do you rent out the pyramid?
Also, this is the beginning of a horror movie.
This is what's going to happen. Mr. Beast is like literally going to go to like a cavern deep down to the pyramid.
And be
like,
possessed.
and then like that's like where like this ancient relic of like the Watchers is.
Oh.
And it's just
Ancient
gonna be like,
knowledge. He's gonna come back with all this ancient knowledge. Mr. Beast. I understand the knowledge of the algorithm. Oh, that's scary. Would you do that? If you had free reign, would you go?
definitely.
Gotta go.
It kind of scares me a little bit.
He has all.
That's wild.
Could you imagine? I wouldn't mind sitting in the pyramid and seeing what I could feel vibrational wise.
Dude, I want to see what happens. This is gonna be awesome. He's a freaking phenomenon, man.
Yeah, yeah. I know it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the the internet loves to jump on him. Like the dude goes down and like drills wells in South America or Africa or something, and they're like, "Nah, but you did it this way." He's like, "What do you want, man? There's villages who are drinking water because of what I did. Oh yeah, I may have monetized it, but they're drinking water now. Stop that! Stop it!"
I mean, he's been doing this for a few years now, so it's not like
yeah.
he
Right.
just, his name's popped up. He's been around for, a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty decent, decent show or, what he does. So
His chocolate bar is okay.
I haven't had it.
There's somebody was giving them out at Halloween. Cat's like, "I got a Mr. Beast bar." I'm like, "What?"
I was gonna say, is it a Mr. Beast bar?
Yeah, yeah. Dude's got a chocolate bar. Yeah, like you said, man.
That's
Favor,
hilarious.
favor ain't fair, but it's fabulous. Yeah, I think that's why people get upset at him. It's like that's not fair. I should be that. Hey, just
Yeah.
roll with it, man.
I know that right there. So I don't know, 2 years ago, Jeff, remember when they had the teachers thing and I ended up, they gave it, the lady said, "I have $50 here. Anybody want it?"
Right.
And I'm the one that went up and got it. And afterwards people were like, "Well, that wasn't fair." Can you buy us pizza and whatnot? I'm like, you can go up there and do that. But that's kind of the feeling that we get,
Yeah.
when people have money and when they're
Oh, yeah.
getting that, it's just like, why isn't it happening to us? It's Jeff and I were talking about this yesterday, a little bit about inheritance and, and how, my mindset on inheritance is changing and, not just holding it till you die type thing, but actually let it, I mean, you want to see or at least I do. I want to see, my kids and stuff enjoy some of the inheritance or whatever. But what would you do with it? Would you invest, say you got $1 million, my thing is if I didn't have any money, you know, I'm over the car thing. I'm over, I'm old enough to, I'm in my 50s. So don't get me wrong. I'd still want a decent car, just something fun, up to date,
Mhm.
whatever. But I
Oh,
wouldn't go, I don't think I would be splurging, but at the same time, it's just like, would I, obviously invest in all that, and how would I go about doing that in this day and age where, 50 years ago, and when my parents and, grandparents, how they started, investing, how would you do it today versus, even 25 years ago? And so we were just talking about, I feel like I can't be, if you want you have that wealthy mindset, I feel like I can't be a kid in a candy store. I have to just go and reinvest it, because if I spent some of it on some frivolous thing because that's what I want to do, I'm wasting it. But yet I want to go and spend a little bit. Why wouldn't I?
yeah.
But at the
And it
same
just depends
time,
on the amount on what that looks like.
yeah, yeah,
You may have a literal candy store shop because your inheritance ain't that big. So go buy a Mr. Beast bar. All right.
yeah,
There you go. Splurge a little bit. But if
yeah.
you got 68 million, well, your splurge is going to look a little different. Your candy store may have a brand name on it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But is the mentality you're wrong? Because I mean, you see all the lottery winners, most of them go bankrupt within 5 years, because they don't have the mindset of a wealthy person. They have a mindset, they still have the orphan mindset. I just want to spend it, spend, hoard, don't know how to, so what do we, and it's just like, well, when you've never had that, the reason why you're buying lottery tickets, because you're buying into some, dream that you might get someday, and you become the lucky one to get. And so when you get it, it's just like, favor. Is that really favor? Because that sounds fabulous right there. All of a sudden, I've got, $650 million at my disposal. That sounds pretty fabulous to me. And I'm not going to want to just, you know, put it all back in the bank or whatever. I'm going to want to spend probably the first $1 million, man. I'm going to go on a shopping spree. And let me give some to my neighbor's spree. I don't know what I would be doing, but at the same time, we're talking about the reason why, all of a sudden people around you are like, why can't I have some? Why can't I? Why did you get it, not me? Well, I bought the lottery ticket, or but so did I. Well, I don't know. That's just the, my thoughts on this thing. How would I,
The
you
key
know?
there is just stewarding it well. You have to
Yes,
store what
yes.
you have, and if
Mhm.
you store it well, then you may have favored for the father to say, you stewarded that well. I want to give you more
Yeah.
because
Well,
you have proven to be able to handle it.
well, it's not
Um,
fair that stewarding sounds so boring.
but it's not. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't mean you
I
don't
know.
get to have spend
You don't
some
get to
on
have
something
fun.
fun, but it's categorizing and putting some up to steward it where it can make more, and then having some that you spend on yourself. It has given, I'm giving this away to help this part, this whatever the Father's put it on your heart to help, whatever organization or whatever, and just to have money. I think of that all the time. When I see people in need, I'm like, if I had just unlimited funds to be able to say, I got your back on that. I'm going to buy you this. I'm going to buy you a car. I'm going to put you a house here, or I'm going to pay for this for you. Like it just would be amazing.
It's important to remember that everybody knows how to spend your money for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
They all have an idea what you should do with it. So if you ever get that amount, that's the first thing to think is just stop with all the voices
Stop, drop,
and
and roll.
get connected to the one voice that matters.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to spend your billions before you even have a chance to touch it.
I know.
And I think that's probably the problem is people just get so overwhelmed with, well, you should do this, you should do that. Well, you deserve this, you deserve that. And it's like, stop. And
Yeah,
you
I
get
think
so lost in that stuff that there's really only one voice. At least as I feel, as the son of Yahweh, and his voice only matters as far as how I should spend it.
Yeah.
So
Right. And
If that ever falls
stewarding
in my
that,
lap, that's what I'll be focusing on.
And
yeah,
Yahweh says buy some Bitcoin.
we had a
Yeah.
conversation. My cousin and I were talking on the back porch before it got really cold, and we were talking about stewarding your money, like when you setting yourself up so that when you're in retirement, like she lives her best life. She's retired. She has all her little groups that she goes to, whether they be church groups, Bible studies, whether it be a card game or gaming night, or she can go to the gym. She can do her classes at the gym. She can give to different organizations. She's got some stuff she goes and volunteers for. But if she would, when she was younger and she was working and she didn't like organize her money, this is what I'm going to spend, this is what I'm going to buy, this is what I'm setting up for savings for the day that I do retire, I won't be strapped living and not be able to do anything. And so she did it well. So she lives a very comfortable retired life on her own. She's a single woman and she's got her health. So she's able to kind of, if she wants to do something, she's got the funds to go do it. But she doesn't spend all her money, but she stored it well.
Yeah.
And she's like, if I would have said, "Oh, I have this money, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that, and I could have blown all the money that I work for and be sitting here saying, "Oh gosh, I'm living on, $500 a month or whatever."
Yeah.
And it's so true. And I'm hopefully the younger generations of today will learn from their parents or grandparents and say, oh, I need to follow in those footsteps. I need to steward my money well so that some people, they're complaining because the bank went down, right? Whatever that bank was that went down, you couldn't get to your money. People couldn't pay you. You wasn't getting paychecks. Well, if you were not smart enough while you're making money to put a little money to the side for something like this that's going to happen, then you're sitting there with no way of doing anything. You don't have any money. So it's always good to steward that money and have a little bit to the side and have your savings and be building for your future or whatever, and being able sometimes to say, okay, I am going to take this money out of savings because I don't want to pay the interest on this, or I'm going to pay for most of it, or whatever that looks like. But anybody can make money. Not everybody can steward money and save money and do well with it.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is it's not a that's not a math problem. It's not a guarantee. It's not a 1 + 1 = 2. I've known people who are very good at stewarding their money and still have nothing. They're still scraping. Like it's not a guarantee. I know a single mom. She's pretty open about her finances, and she don't splurge, man. But she's still scratching today,
Right.
and like so, it's not a guarantee. And then just like you said, it's not a guarantee you steward it right. You steward it well, and then the investment group that you bought into that was part of your stewarding crashed. So it's like that's tough. That doesn't seem fair, right? And I got to
Yeah.
admit, I've got the whole that ain't fair mentality streak, and I've wrestled with it when people are successful, and I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Down to the simplest thing. Somebody's speeding, and I'm like, I'm obeying the speed limit here, and he gets the green light, and I get stuck at the red. That's not fair. I was stewarding my gas pedal correctly. At least I thought so. And he gets something that I didn't get.
Punch it, dude. Punch it.
Yeah, it's right. But I feel it. Like I got to be honest with myself. I feel it, and I check it now. Like I hear that, I'm like, you could have been driving 60 in a 40 yourself and made that green light. And it's not like you were denied something. And so step back and bless the dude. But you know what I mean? Like this is highly nuanced and real easy to get tripped up. You won the lottery, you blew it all. Were you wrong? You didn't steward right? I don't know, you're broke now. Is that unfair? No. I don't think it's unfair. I don't think Yahweh would have told you in a relationship to go, buy a warehouse full of Twizzler sticks, but you did. Anyway, I don't know. All right, I'm rambling. I'll stop now.
Good old Twizzler sticks.
You should have bought Slim Jims.
Yeah.
Then you would have been in the money.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that stuff gets in the way. Because in relationship, if you blow an inheritance in relationship, you're good. It may not look good from the outside, but in relationship, like, hey, that's where I was supposed to be. And it was good. And I have trouble. Like, I look at people who are needy, and I struggle with compassion. I do. I'm like, man, life's tough, dude. Life's tough. Guess what? Paying that trailer off ain't gonna solve your world problems. It will solve a problem. And so I don't feel that desire to solve everybody's issues if I only had the money. I want that. Like, I feel like what you just said is a good thing. I want to have that desire that's pure, but if I'm honest with myself, I don't have it. I don't. I'm like, man, you made life choices. Guess what? I made some stupid life choices and ended up eating dirt over it. I'm better for it. So are you. And getting everybody up to middle class luxury is not the game plan. It's not the goal of the earth. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna stop now.
It's a hard cry. I mean, it cuts deep into people. And that's the whole reason we have all these political upheavals, is because a whole group of people are looking at another whole group of people, and they're hurting, and they're confused, and just put aside the corrupt wickedness part of it, just someone getting something that another person didn't get, regardless of whether they're right or wrong. There's this comparison thing and the feeling of missing out. And then you heap on the wickedness aspect of it, like the guy that speeds, right? The idea of being corrupt, and they're getting the benefit, and they're not getting their justice, right? That kind of stuff becomes this massive societal upheaval. Enough people start to feel that, and it's bent and leveraged for movements. I mean, the whole idea of communism is leveraged on this whole thing of this premise of inequality.
It's some really faulty judgment.
We need to balance it out. We need to make the playing field fair for everybody, which is a falsehood.
No,
as you look at the motivation behind it, but it's a heart issue, right? It's a very deep core heart issue that isn't easily answered. And I think that we have to, like, how do I manage that in my own self? I have to continue to return to the place of contentment.
Yeah.
Am I happy? Yeah. Am I being well taken care of by my creator?
Oh, I am.
And then how am I managing that before him, my heart before him?
Yeah.
Because you come into this world naked and you don't carry this stuff with you forever, right? No. It just comes. This stuff wears out. It's changed out. I have to rebalance my value on all of it. Yeah. And it's all about, for me, it's turned into not about what I put around me and what I put in my pockets, what I have in bank. It's what I have in relationships that is measured as value and wealthy. And then get my heart in the right position to receive whatever he wants to bring into my life. That's the only way for me to manage the emotion of that feeling favored or unfavored. But it's not like I've figured it out, right? It's not that I have this thing beat.
Write a book.
Still, my days, I'm like, why? It is most of those days where I just go before him and I just like, why?
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing the steps. What about Bob? Doing the baby steps.
Yeah.
Why? You know, why aren't you allowing this to happen?
Yeah.
And then throw in, you know, the prophetic statements. If you've ever had someone prophesy over your future, and you've got that also, a piece of paper pulled out and say, hey, you said these things.
It can turn those words bitter fast.
Oh yeah.
It really
absolutely.
can. And and the thing is, relationship with him makes the dirt I'm eating because of the choices I made taste good. That's true. right? That's true. I don't like it. And it's not all the dirt, but it's true. It's 100% true. Oof.
I think that's why it's important to know our purpose in life. Like our first identity and then how that identity is manifested.
Yeah.
Because you might be called to be a Solomon and you might be called to be a Jeremiah, and your outcome is going to be different regardless of the income. And that's if you don't know who you are and where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, then you're going to be struggling and always facing that specter of why am I not him or her? Why am I not doing this or why don't I have that? If you're supposed to be in the ghettos of India, Mother Teresa,
Yeah.
she didn't have much. She had a huge reputation, right? We have these people that we honor, but like if we were asked, would you like to be in their shoes? We're like, heck no.
Yeah. No.
that's
Carry on.
bravery. I honor that. You keep to that, but I'm gonna keep to
Yeah,
mine.
I'm
right?
good right here. And it messes up our judgment. Like last night I was watching this pretty cool video about Florida. I didn't realize Florida is one of the last frontiers that America conquered. In the early 1900s, Florida or late 1800s, Florida was mostly swamp. Dude, they drained that whole state on the lower end. They drained it like huge multi-million dollar Army Corps of Engineers, state sponsored, private industry sponsored. They went in and like, man, if we drain this, we can build stuff here. And then West Palm Beach, the whole east coast of Florida was a playground. And it was this one guy, I can't remember his name, Flager something. Anyway, I think his last name's Flager. And he built like the largest hotel in the world down there in West Palm Beach. He built a railroad down there, and it became the northern place. The Northerners came to enjoy the sunny Sierra of Florida, the American Sierra. And along with that, there were some groups of people that worked on it, built railroads, and the workers who lived poor. They weren't the rich. They were paid. They weren't slaves. But you could argue that point. You could argue it. Like, hey, was it, from today's perspective, very easily. And from that, because some bad decisions were made again to the people groups who helped build that playground for the elite, suddenly, it's a bad thing that he did that. It's a bad thing that he made the Florida habitable. It's a bad thing, he killed thousands of acres of unique biome. Yeah, you know what? Every time man comes in and builds a city, they're going to destroy some unique biome. You can't build a house without tearing down a bird's nest. So, okay, I get it, but that perspective of it's not fair suddenly makes what he did on the West Coast evil. That's a false judgment. Like, it's not evil to build something nice, to take something and develop it. But that fairness mindset says, oh, well, if you didn't do right by everybody, then what you did right must be wrong. It's like, no, you didn't do right by everybody. The Florida could have been developed just as a playground for people who could afford to go there. There's nothing evil about there. It's beautiful. It's nice. And yet they could have made decisions that elevated a people group that built it above where their standing was in life. You could have done that. But it doesn't make what you did evil. And that fairness idea, I can see we're looking back now from this side of civilization at the things that were done. And that's why it's so everybody's face right now. They're like, make America great again. Because we know that in the process of the last 150 years, we've made America great, but we've done some really shitty stuff along the way. We really have. There's no caribou in Idaho anymore. Why? Because corruption went in and clear-cut old-growth forests. Is that bad? I don't know. Is it worth an old-growth forest worth not building places for people to live and enjoy and develop society and civilization? It's an arguable point. But yeah, we've done those things, so they're terrified of the idea that we're going to go back. And we don't have to. California could have saved the fish and kept the levees full. We just didn't do that. And we made bad decision. It doesn't mean that development and civilization and uplift and the elite kind of stuff is bad.
Right.
And that's that judgment. It's like communism, like you said, he uses that leverage to say, well, it must be fair for everybody. No, but it can be. It can be. You can bring and elevate everybody. You can make good choices. But anyway, that's why so everybody's terrified right now on the opposite side of the political fence that we're going to go back and destroy things again. Well, you can't re-drain Florida. You can't re-cut down the old growth forests. Settle down and see what happens. We have a chance again to see that everybody comes up, that all the rising tide, raises all ships. And that's where my heart is right now. I want to see everybody elevated. But the guy who's elevated from not being able to afford mac and cheese to being able to afford mac and cheese deluxe, it's not going to look fair that the other counterpart went from middle class nothing to billionaire status, to rubbing shoulders with Mr. Beast. There's still going to be people who are like, my mac and cheese deluxe ain't as good as yours. I think that's just out of relationship with Yahweh. We can't look at somebody else's success with pure delight that someone has gotten something good. But in relationship with Yahweh, I can be like, I don't need that. I want it. And when somebody else gets it, I'm genuinely happy for them. Yeah. That can happen in relationship. That doesn't happen outside of relationship easily. At least not.
And yet that's the question. I think this is a good question to ask. I think everybody has to ask this at some point. Is God fair?
No.
Right? And you'd say no, right? I mean, I think that's a good statement that he's not fair. I mean, even Christ gives us parables of this unfair creator.
Yep.
So this, I think, gives people this to go either way. They say, well, if he's not fair, I don't want to worship him, right? And I think we have to not put upon him the finite measurement of man's justice system. And it behooves us to step in and ask and to press into the creator, into our Father, and ask, well, how do you judge? How do you weigh? How do you measure? What is your scales based on? If they're not based on fairness, what are they based upon? Right? And I think that's got to be answered in each person's heart, because it just screws up the relationship, first of all, foremost, but then not just with him, but with everything else. And they'll live in a place of pain and discomfort, and never being settled, never being at rest, never finding a place to call their own, because they'll be struggling, scraping to try and find that golden city, that hidden refuge, where they succeed at everything and prosper.
Where your choices don't determine your outcome. Like a lot of that is buried. A lot of that, the utopia ideology is buried in, well, your choices will no longer cause you pain. And that doesn't seem very fair, does it? I think fairness is corrupted justice. It's a corruption of justice. Yahweh is just. My Father is just, but he's not fair, because fair has a ceiling. Fair has a limit, and it's limited by everybody's subjective perspective, and it's a moving target. Justice doesn't waver, but fairness does.
Yeah. Fairness is based on a lack. I mean, if we really considered the premise of where fairness comes from, it's based on the premise that there is a limited, finite amount of supply. Right? I have 10 apples and I have 20 kids. Someone's not getting an apple. Okay, that's not fair. We need to split those evenly, right? Well, when you live in the fairness mindset, you're living in a place of lack, and so you're going to struggle with your brother with what's available, and that's not our Father's house. That's not our Father's kingdom. It's not. It doesn't have lack.
So
right?
fairness
It's
is based on a
not
lie.
Limited. for supply. So how do you live in a place of unlimited supply? Fairness has no language. It's not a language that's necessary. It's not a word it's obsolete in a unlimited supply in an unlimited realm, because we can get the fullness of what we need from him every day, every breath, every thought. Whatever we need, we have it. So the question isn't then he's not giving you $1 million. The question is, what is it that I need for me to become who I'm supposed to be? What does it need to be an unlimited being? $1 million may just be the culprit from keeping you becoming who you're supposed to be.
Right.
The only
He
thing I would
knows the intricacies of yourself. He knows what you need in the process of becoming the ultimate unlimited being. So I think that's the part we need to understand, is to push off this fairness mindset and put on unlimitedness, and the reality that he wants to give us everything that will help us become who we're supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And that is to be traded. If we can't start there, then we're going to trip up, I think, with this whole fairness concept. I'm not given, you promised me a ministry of 10 million people. You promised me a legacy in the earth that will stand for 10 generations, yada, yada, yada. I mean, Abraham could have said, you said that you'd give
what
me the
happened?
stars. You know, that even the promises that we get from our Father can trip us up if we don't have the fairness issue dealt with, and get rid of this lack that we have inside of our being, that we don't have enough. I mean, we have to start from a place of really believing we have enough. We have more than enough, and start living from the resource of that more than enough in our Father. And then however that manifests, whether it means having a little small shack on the side of the hill, or living in a grand palace of 10,000 rooms, however that manifests is born out of the relationship of that unlimited life that he's given you, and how he wants you to live it in glory before him.
I would just have a perspective, just to say that the choices that we make as we determine who we are, when we recognize, we all know it's relationship with big love. And then we have desires. We want things.
Right.
Okay. So is it okay to want things like you need a car, you need this, you need that?
Absolutely.
Right. And so, big love's on board, right? Hey, freaking A, don't worry about it. What are you worried about? What do you need? What do you want? What is it that you think you need that and it's okay to have that conversation. Conversely, okay, there's a
Yes,
technology. There's a
necessary.
technology that exists for everybody on the planet. It works if you don't know big love yet, and it works if you know big love. Imagination, desire, benevolent intentionality from above the sun, and staying power. And I think that if we desire things, then begin to lever up your imagination, think about it long enough where you're getting it on the inside. It's an appropriate desire. And we all talk about what money. You know what? If we don't understand that we're below the sun and the planet is in the process of defining what money is, I don't think anybody. We're all figuring out money.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the dollar bill that's backed by nothing. Oh, gold is money. Bitcoin's money. You know what? Let's do a little metaphorical exercise. Your money. Wait a minute. So slow down, and it's okay to grow into and become more confident when you feel like you're walking in favor. It's freaking phenomenal. So if you want to know what it's like to walk in favor, talk to people that, and I'll give some practical examples. Because everybody on this call, I know well enough to know that everybody on this call, on this team, is walking in favor. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, there we go. Here's the first one. Because I know my brother, Golden Noodle, Mr. Eric, a few years ago was in a different place.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, we don't need details.
Dude,
This is just observation from all of us, but reinforcing that even if, and I'm not saying you don't feel like, you haven't arrived, but you've left. You absolutely, the last 2 years, you know what favor feels like.
Yep.
Because we've seen it.
Yep.
And it's expressed the way you talk, the way, but you're still, but you know what? Here's the interesting thing. You want more favor?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
But
Are you okay? Are you
that
sure?
assumes I don't have all that I need now.
Okay, if you want more, there's more. There's more. No, I'm good. I'm safe. I have enough money. I mean, it's crazy. Why don't you think about this? Get into the frequency, acknowledge the favor. Mississippi, Miss Tina, I don't know. She was living somewhere 3 years ago. She's over here now with the families together, thinking about buying land and this and that. Well, you know what? I think Miss Tina's been walking in favor. I don't hear her talking about. I don't hear her talking about money. Okay, I'm looking. Look at who's my bro over there, right? Got an inheritance. What'd he do? What'd he do? He happened to be the nephew of the uncle and the Buddha. It kind of feels like favor. And then what do you do when the favor comes? Get on your freaking knee and be thankful. Then wrap it up in thankfulness.
Yeah.
Then stay in that little cocoon that your money. You know who's the wealthiest? I'm just saying from Greek, Hebrew, my brother Jeff. It's a wonderful life. The richest man on the face of the freaking earth. Are you kidding me? He can raise 4 boys with his bride, raising a family to express on the earth what it's like to bring a family to what's that? How much money? What's that worth? What's the value of that? Okay, so I think we need to recognize the favor that we already have. We're already sons. Now, what is it that you want below the sun? What do you want to do? What are you doing about it? Are you moving forward? It's 2025. Okay, it looks like we might be going in a good direction with the malevolent one still trying to kick and scream. And so you got all this dynamic. It's we're gonna enter in and we all get to choose. Do we want a favor? You got to want it. You got to step into it, and you got to appreciate the favor that you currently have. When you want more favor, then have the conversation with Big Love about uniquely what it is that you want. And then 2025, think about what you want by the end of the decade. Think about what you want where do you want to be financially? Everybody's talking about money, but we don't know what money is. We're money. Get this money and be the currency.
Show me the money
of your voice. Be the money. Okay. And then those things, if that's what you want, and I've made no bone about, I'm looking for folks that want to build anybody want to build generational wealth? Am I the only one? Okay, let's talk about that. Let's set up a freaking Patreon and let's talk about, I can tell you what I've been doing for the last 10 years to try to go there. Can tell you the books I've been reading, what I've learned, what's coming, what money isn't. We're in a Ponzi scheme. Oh, it's all going to work. Yeah, I know. The banks are still going to be here. The federal, who knows? Just all the noise below the sun. We as sun have got to be ourselves and rise above and demonstrate. And that's why that lady on that Mr. B show she did not freaking, I don't know her from Adam, but I'll tell you what, and it smelt a little religious, but we all have a religion, don't we? Right? Look at me.
Sure.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I know Jesus. You know what? You got spiritual arrogance all over you, bro. And you're broke. And you're envious of your brothers and sisters that are crushing it because you don't know what they've done to get the favor that they've walked in. You're just comparing yourself to everybody else because you're insecure and you don't really have an intimate relationship because it's from what you're speaking and from, apples don't fall too far from their trees.
Can you have favor if you're broke?
Of course you can.
Of course you can.
Right. It doesn't have a price tag. There's not that's fair. Favor sounds fair. Because it doesn't require something you can measure. It doesn't require you getting one of the 10 apples when there's 20 people. That's weird to think about. Because the opposite, the gripers, the complainers, the ones who are screaming fairness, they're
the prodigal son too.
Right, their own solution supposes
Who
that
had it all, but yet they were wanting the favor of basically a permission from the father and realizing that you live in the king's house. All this is yours. So it's a matter of mindset.
Yeah, it's
Heart
funky.
There it is right there. And I'm going to say something that's really radical. You know, the parable where the workers in the field,
Yeah.
everybody agreed to go out into the field and to work for a living, for a wage, right?
Yep.
And then lo and behold, something happens. Oh, we got some new players in the field. Seems like they're cutting in line. They come in at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and they get the same damn freaking wage?
No.
That doesn't seem fair.
Doesn't seem fair. Well, guess what favor looks like? Okay? So right? And so all of us have the ability to cut in line and to come into the storehouse at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's like,
I've been sleeping in till
wow. And this is what is unfolding in the new economy. You know, everybody were all worried about robots and this and what's it. You know what? You're focused on a negative, low vibrational energy below the sun. You've got to level up as sons, guys, companions. We have to choose. What is it that you want? You already have the relationship with Big Love. You have access to hit the full supply. You're blessed. Why? What is keeping you from plugging in? Why are you hanging on to your own self-righteousness of what you think Yahweh and the planet should be doing and who should be getting what? When are you going to kill that dragon that's been feeding off the dust of your thought life, trying to wrestle with? Stop being envious.
Let's really think about what we deserve. I mean, honestly, if fairness is based on what you deserve, what do you deserve?
That's a rough
What do you measure
conversation.
that deservement? Yeah, right. I mean, what did Yeshua say? He said, "There's no good person except Yahweh." Right? There's no good but God. So you're already in the red when you step up to ask, what have you done for me lately? Right? So I think that's the first thing is to bring a little bit of humility to the table and you say, what?
Golly.
Because what you deserve, I don't think you really want. So let's put that up on the scales, and then let's talk about favor. Because you ain't getting what you deserve. You're getting something so much better. You get to breathe. You get to live. You get to escape the judgment.
And how do we turn that perspective away from the idea that we're just mud daubers, that we're just dust and we're negative? Like, nope, nope, nope. Humility doesn't do that. Humility accepts the reality of the situation. It doesn't drive things down, right? Because that was pounded into us by religion. You worm,
Yeah.
you disgusting, you don't deserve anything. Okay, no, that's not true. But take a little bit of that to balance the scales to where you're looking at life through the right lenses.
Yeah.
Because that dips into some really dark territory really fast. Yeah, I don't deserve. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. I'm not looking to get what I deserve.
Well, and we need to
Says-
hear that when our ego gets a little out of whack, when we get out of balance, like
Sure,
this is not fair. I think it's important to bring it into perspective
it is.
of the full beauty of what we have received. You know, that we were cut off from favor. We were cut off from favor, the true favor, the everlasting favor.
Yeah,
And we were deserving of something far worse,
right.
just because of what we were squirming around the mud, you know. And
Yeah.
so it helps, it really does help balance the perspective so that when we do step up into that favor, it allows thankfulness and appreciation to come in. It puts in check the spoiled brat attitude that comes along with, I didn't get mine. That's not fair.
I'm entitled to this.
Right.
And that's where I'm seeing it, like in the minutia. I had this conversation with myself just yesterday. I remember where I was walking. I was walking from the car into the garage, and my truck's still not running. All right, that's my life. That's my 40 acres and a mule right now. Right, like I'm upset, and I had this thought. I'm like, dang it, I got to take apart the upper air intake, redo the vacuum. I just need this thing to work. And it's just like, it's never ending. I'm like, dude, what the heck? Stop. You have a truck to work on. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it ain't working right now. And it's going to be more work. And it's freaking cold. I don't want to bust my knuckles when it's 23 degrees. Right? I don't. But I can. And it was weird. Like I remember, it was like this whole clash of thought processes happened within like 5 steps. I got home, I looked at the truck, I'm like, ugh, you're not done yet. Why can't it be done? and I had to go, whoa, dude, you have a truck to work on. That's a gift. That's amazing. Settle into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Like the things I have that aren't fixed yet, that aren't working like they're supposed to. I have those things. Like, don't get twisted in what's not there yet. And then suddenly gratitude comes in. I'm like, man, this feels good. And I remember when it happened, I was walking across the threshold into the garage, and I'm like, whoa, 5 steps. 5 steps. And suddenly, what was weighing on me, which felt heavy, it did, is better. That's not fair. But it's good. It's favor.
It's
I'm like,
fabulous, Brolo, right?
It's
I don't have a
fabulous, right?
garage.
Fabulous, bro.
Hello.
Right, yeah, you don't have a garage, yeah.
I have to work out in the weather if I want to work on a car.
It's cold. I could pull that thing into the garage. There's nothing stopping me but some stuff I've left in the way, right? Like, all right, dude, get your butt together, pull that sucker in here, fire up the little buddy, and have a blast. It's going to feel really good when you're done with this thing and putting the last bolt in and turning the ignition, and you got this. I'm like, man, don't starve myself of that. That potential can never happen if I'm like, everything sucks. I'm
And
robbing myself.
you just stepped into the favor. You
Yeah.
stepped into the frequency of
still
not
not
knowing
fixed.
the outcome necessarily, but you took the action, and favor finds you. We're all looking for
Yeah.
favor. It's looking for us.
That's good right there.
Yeah. It's looking for me. It's looking for me.
No
And it's
question.
gonna
Let's
come in a
cap it
form
off with that.
that I don't
Yep.
recognize. It'll be like, hey, every bolt you turned right. Boom, boom, boom. Look at this.
Well, on that note, folks,
So good.
Are we done already?
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
man, this conversation.
It's good.
Stay in the way,
Favor,
stay in the
favor,
path.
favor.
It's funny how we never know what we're going to talk about.
It was
It's
good.
good though.
Paul started
Until
it.
next week.
Talking about Inception.
Love
Yeah.
y'all soon. Did we already go? We in the
we
green
went down
room?
the rabbit hole of Yahweh's
Not
I don't
yet.
think we're in the green room. Are
Shalom,
we?
everybody.
Shalom, shalom. We love you.
Love y'all
His
soon.
favor, his